Good afternoon, Liberty Lakers, and welcome to the very first installment of LLTV Podcast 3. We are here, and we are with the big dogs today, the seniors of Liberty Lake, and we are going to discuss some really interesting topics because these guys are a little weird, but they're awesome, and they're awesome for it. So, let's introduce these panelists, shall we? Starting all the way over there.
I'm Isabella.
And what group are you in? Just
I'm
putting
in
it up.
Berkeley. Shout out. Oh, I'm Gail. Berkeley.
Wonderful, Gail.
And I'm Drew, and I'm in NYU.
We also call him Schaefer.
Yes.
So, and I'm your host with the most. You know what it is. It's Zeke the Geek, and we are here talking about social media and how it impacts society and the youth of the future. So, let's kick it off with Drew. Tell me your thoughts on social media and how do you think it impacts our country and more mainly our youth?
I feel like social media could be a good or bad thing, but it depends on who uses it. If somebody that's like been bullied all their life uses it, then maybe they could like try to do the same thing to other people to make them feel bad or to make them not feel good about themselves because either they've been bullied by them or they just need something to do and just are angry or something. So the people that have not had that happen to them, they could use it in a good way. They could use it so that other people can see what their everyday life is like or know if something important's going on. Or they could see if, like, someone famous died or if someone became famous or anything.
Respect. I agree with that answer. How about Gail?
So, depending on who uses social media, it can be a good impact or a negative impact. Because if someone decides that to take their negative feelings out on someone else and bully them or harass them, then that's a negative impact, and that's kind of teaching our youth that it's okay in a way because you don't see this person in real life. It's just through a screen. So a lot of people have the mindset it won't affect them in any way. But you can also find some of your favorite influences on social media, and you can just share your daily life with people that you might not get to see as often.
All right.
Okay, so social media is like very popular, but for the youth, I don't think it's a good idea to give social media to younger kids because there are people that will stalk them or can like easily go and text them on their phones and just like talk to them, and that's why kids shouldn't be on social media. And so I think for older people, like in their older teens, I think that they should go on social media because like it's it could connect people, and it could also like bring them apart. So
they should know what's happening in the world.
Yes. Yeah, and it's also important to follow the standards of most social medias of 13 plus for the exact reasons that Izzy listed.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. You know, like how I think about it, it's a double-edged sword, you know, because we've come so far with technology, you know, as a society, and it's a good thing. That's not a bad thing. We're progressing. And I feel like a lot of the older generation gets scared with things that they don't really understand. And that happens with me. Sometimes there are things that I don't understand, and I'm like, you know what, I ain't even going to deal with it. But I think if the youth changes how they use social media,
Yes.
it would make people much older, the older generation, feel more comfortable with it all and more comfortable with their kids using it. But again, I said it's a double-edged sword where, yeah, it's a great thing. It's also a scary thing because the internet, you have to also remember, it's very vast. It's like the ocean. There's so much of it we don't even know about, that we can't even see. We don't even know how to get there. But that's what makes the ocean exciting, isn't it?
Yes.
So that's what makes the internet also exciting, that there's so many possibilities out there. And we, as like, specifically as Americans, we only use a small fraction, if that. You know, like use Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat,
Twitter.
you know, Facebook Messenger is a thing, you know, Google Chrome or whatever. But that's just a small portion of things that you can actually do with the internet.
Yes.
And I feel like if kids back in my day when I was a kid, and you know, we had AIM or AOL Messenger. It was a thing. It was a very different time. And you know, my mom had a parent lock on it. You know, so
Yes.
I can only talk to my specific friends who also had AIM, AOL Messenger, and if I were to like look at anything that I wasn't supposed to be looking at, computer shut down on me, and it was just nope, ain't looking at that. And it wasn't like I was looking at anything ridiculous or crazy. It was just like I wanted to watch this show. I'm a huge anime fan, and so I wanted to watch this anime called Berserk. Now it's a much older show, like a lot more. It's a violent, more bloody, and more like dramatic show.
Yes.
So I didn't own the DVD, so I had to find it somewhere. So I tried to find it online, and then my computer just shut down. I was like, "What happened?" And then I got in trouble. You know, but nowadays, parents don't really have parent locks. I know, like little kids have iPads and stuff like that, and that's great,
Yeah.
and that's fantastic because they can keep control over what they do and what they can see. And I feel like that's a really good way. But I feel like kids these days are being policed far too much, a little bit. And I mean, I'm not a parent, so I really can't speak on how I would feel once I become that role in life. But as of right now, I'm just like, listen, if you try to control your kids, they're going to rebel a whole lot harder. It's when you give your kids that bit of freedom that you build that trust. Because it shows that you trust them, and then they'll start to trust you. Because as a kid, you're always going to trust your parent, but once you hit that teenage age, you're just like,
It's a no.
I want to hang out with my friends. You're not as cool as I remember. I don't know about you, but trust, technology, these are things that need to come together. Because if you just assume everyone's out there doing everything wrong, like, yes, there are people out there who are terrible people who get pleasure out of bullying someone, out of trying to terrorize someone's life. That's not okay. And I don't condone that. Liberty Lake here doesn't condone that. But also, you know what? I'm going to keep that opinion to myself. Let's move on.
So I feel like it's totally fair for a parent to kind of feel and be kind of not scared of social media, but wary of their child having social media accounts, because
Agreed.
a lot of the things that other, like the news shares, are the bad things that can happen on social media.
But there's also a lot of good that does happen,
yeah,
and I
but
feel
it's-
like the bad outweighs the good, and that's not always fair.
So I think that parents definitely should have a lot more trust of their kids, because you have something
Because
to
of
say.
what?
Because it, like Zeke said, it builds their trust more.
Yeah. If, like, when you guys started off as, like, turtles or freshmen, right? You always had to be walked to the bathroom, right? Wasn't it a great feeling when you got to that age level where they were just like, yeah, go to the bathroom.
Kind
And you were just like, I can do that? Oh, man, I'm out. I'm going to pee so good. You know? Like, wasn't that a really good, gratifying feeling?
I got lost on the way to the bathroom.
This is why they still have you go with someone, and
No,
that's okay.
yeah, we have a buddy now.
See, but look, it's those little things where it's just like when you get that little bit of freedom, it's like it changes everything. There's this weight that just lifts off your shoulders. But I want to ask you guys, how do you think, just going to Liberty Lake, when you get home after a long day at camp, is the first thing you do is do you get on social media?
No.
Like, is that what you do? What do you do when you get home?
I eat.
You eat.
Yes, I
Do
eat.
chores.
You eat and do chores. I'm sorry. How about you, Gail?
And then I play
I
video
kind
games.
of run in the laps in the basement.
You run laps in your basement? How big is your basement?
It's pretty big. It's a finished basement.
It's a finished basement or finished basement?
Finished basement.
Oh,
Right,
I
so-
want to see what a finished basement looks
It's
like
like-
from Finland.
It can count. It counts as a room. It's not just for storage and stuff. It can count as a living space.
Wait.
So how long is
So,
it? I'm just
I
really
don't
curious.
know.
What's the square footage?
I have no clue.
If you can
Wait.
run laps in a basement, it's
not
pretty
like
big.
long laps.
Okay, I'm just saying. You said
Yeah.
it. I didn't say anything.
So after doing like a lot of hours at Liberty Lake doing exercise, you go home and do more exercise.
It's about the girls in shape. I mean,
Why?
listen. Listen. When I was a kid, after a long day at camp or school or like at football practice or play rehearsal, I always went home and I was immediately back outside with my friends, hanging out, just chilling, running around, acting like fools. Because when you're a kid, enjoy that time. Do it. Live it up. Because once you get to be my age and you got to start paying bills, you wish you were a kid again.
You can.
Because I work here and I'm like, oh, man. To be that young again and have no worries at all except for homework and bedtime. That is
Summer
it.
reading too.
See, we didn't have summer reading because, you know, our schools trusted our generation. I don't know about what happened with you guys.
Oh.
Just saying. We didn't have summer packets. You guys do. Guess you guys aren't really doing that well in school. But anyway. Let's switch the topic real fast to something that I like to discuss. Ghosts.
My house is haunted.
Well then. All right, Gail, we'll start with you.
Okay.
How do you feel about ghosts?
So I've recently moved. By recently I mean like in 2017. But my old house is an almost 300-year-old farmhouse, and there's papers of how the original owner who originally built it in the 1700s died, and we think that he haunts the house.
Did he die in the house?
No, he died in the front yard.
Died in the front
The
yard.
front yard is the backyard, and the backyard is the front yard now. But so
Okay.
he technically died in the backyard.
No,
but to
I-
us, the front
How
yard.
did he die?
I'm following.
Wait.
I'm curious though. This is the older group here. We talk a little bit more openly and more freely and more trustworthy. So, how did he die?
So it was a farm, so he was riding his horse, and then he fell, but he was still attached to the saddle, so he kept hitting his head onto the ground until he died.
Jeez. But you see, some of the research I've found about ghosts, ones that specifically haunt, is that something had to have happened to them to give them a purpose to stay there. Like, has anybody ever seen the movie Casper? Or is
No.
that, are you too old for
like
that?
the
Not
small...
any of you. You're not on camera.
Wait, like you mean like that fat, ugly ghost that like, you know, that's like weird and stuff. You know.
Casper?
Yes, Casper. He has like
The friendly
huge-
ghost?
The friendly?
Yes.
He's creepy.
I don't think we're talking about the
Were you
same
5
ghost.
when you
He
watched
has a
this?
huge head.
Oh, like that bubble monster from Ghostbusters?
I mean, he's kind of a
No.
cartoon character. All right.
Oh,
Anyway,
I know who it
anyway, there's this live action movie that came out in the 90s, starring what's her name? She also played Wednesday Addams in the Addams Family movie. Can't remember. Anyway, moving on. So in this movie, they talked about how ghosts live because they have unfinished business. That's something that has always stuck with me, and I've always done research on like why ghosts if ghosts are real, why would they exist? Because they have unfinished business.
Well,
What would your farm man's unfinished business
His
be?
name was
Is he
John.
trying to find this horse? Like, is he looking for the horse's ghost? Because he's like, you know what,
Okay.
I'm gonna find that horse.
his name was John.
His name was John.
And
Okay, getting somewhere, y'all.
I've kind of researched that ghosts, if they die a traumatic death, they don't tend to realize that they're dead, so they kind of live on.
So does he just hang out in front yard, just like my head hurts?
No, he's in he's in the house,
Okay.
and he kind of walks around. And
So does he just like? Have you? What were your personal experiences in the house that you believe
When-
it's haunted?
When my room is one of the most haunted. My bedroom was one of the most haunted rooms in the house because it was one of the first rooms ever built, and
I'd move. I would
have
move
moved.
if I were you.
it was my old house.
Oh, thank God.
We had to so I would always hear my name whispered in my ear, and I would always see people, like, not people, like a person moving around in the corner of my eye in the hallways, and then I'd look over and nothing would be there.
So you never were like attacked. Nothing violent ever happened in that house.
No,
to any of
because
you?
I think if he had bad intentions, we lived there for 8 years, then I think we would be dead by now.
Okay. So we'll come back to you, Gail, because we're going to talk about that more. But you've been really quiet over here, Shafe.
I actually have a ghost story that I found online.
All right, tell us about it.
Ghost story. So there was this family, and down the street there was a old man that had his grandkids over. Now the daughter, she got a really bad headache, and she went to bed, and then in the night she died. And then the old man, he tells the family to go and see if his pets are okay. So they go into the house, and it was the uncle, the father, and the mother. The mother wanted to go in because the old man had a really big grand piano that she really wanted to play. So she went. So they all went. The uncle and the father went downstairs, and the mother stayed upstairs and played the grand piano. And later, while playing, she felt a brushing on her leg, and first she thought it was the cat that escaped from the basement, and then she felt hands grasp her leg, and then later the old man said that the granddaughter that died always loved that when he was playing the piano to just go under and grab his legs.
Why?
Spoopy.
My
No,
mom-
that's a really cool story, man.
My mom once had an encounter in the basement, which is the most haunted room, I think, because it was the very first thing to be built in the entire house. She felt someone grab her shoulder in the middle of the basement.
Oh, wow. It's crazy. Someone over there is uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Do you not like ghosts?
No, I like
You're all red.
ghosts. It's just that I'm very Christian, so I think of ghosts as
It's very specific.
they're rejected by heaven and hell, so they just stay here forever.
So, can I say another ghost?
That is some deep truth right there. I don't know if that's truth
Can I?
because I can't prove it, but that's deep and very like opening.
Or they're just
eye-opening.
demons.
Can I?
Oh,
Can
they're
I tell
demons.
another
I
ghost
think we
story?
knew. I hope they're just ghosts
Can
and
I-
not demons. Yes, Gail, go
Okay,
for it.
So one time, it was Christmas Eve. My parents were sleeping, and I have this big dog, Bernie's mountain dog, and it was 11:59 at night, and it was about to turn Christmas, and then exactly at midnight, my dog sprang up from his sleeping position and started barking like mad at their bedroom door as if someone was standing there. And he never barks unless there is someone at the door or he sees something that he doesn't recognize.
Mhm.
And my mom, she kind of believes it, but she's also kind of skeptical, mostly because my sister's pretty scared of this stuff. But
Yeah.
my dad, he's like a strong believer of it. And so my mom went to sleep, and my dad woke her up and said, "This is going to sound insane, but I just saw someone walk across the room."
Yeah, it was Santa Claus. I mean, he was trying to get you presents. What do you mean? Was he confused? It's Christmas, y'all. Santa's real.
Shadow.
Fertles. Santa is real. So, look here, guys.
So is John.
I don't know who John is.
He's the
Oh,
ghost.
John. I'm sorry.
Oh my God.
I guess John is real. I bet he misses you. He's probably just like, Gail. Gail. Where's Gail? But anyway, I want you guys to tell the good folks who you are and what group you're from, and we're going to sign off. So start down there.
I'm Isabel from Berkeley.
I'm Gail from Berkeley.
And I'm Drew from NYU.
And I'm your host with the most, Zeke the Geek, and I represent the sophomore division. Go Kings. All right, guys. This has been a really great conversation. Find us next time when we discuss the Lady of the Lake. Signing off.